Attraction is often misunderstood. Many believe it is found in appearance, in attention, in the way someone presents themselves to the world. But true attraction, the kind that lasts, the kind that commands respect without asking for it, comes from something deeper. Self-respect is not something that is given to you by the world. It is something you decide within yourself long before anyone else recognizes it. A mature woman understands this deeply. She does not wait for approval to feel valuable, and she does not measure her worth by how others treat her. Instead, she begins from within. She asks herself a simple but powerful question. What do I truly deserve? And once she finds that answer, she refuses to accept anything less. This does not mean her life becomes easy. In fact, choosing self-respect often makes life more difficult in the beginning. It requires walking away from situations that feel familiar but are harmful. It requires letting go of people who once meant something but no longer align with her values. It requires saying no when it would be easier to say yes. But she understands that temporary discomfort is the price of long-term peace. A woman with self-respect does not beg for attention. She does not chase after people who are inconsistent, unclear, or indifferent. She observes. She notices patterns. And when she sees that someone cannot meet her standards, she does not try to convince them to change. She simply changes her direction. This quiet decision is powerful because it shows that her time and energy are not available to just anyone. She also becomes aware of how she speaks to herself. Self-respect is not only about how you allow others to treat you, but also about how you treat yourself when no one is watching. If she constantly criticizes herself, doubts herself, or accepts less from herself, then no external respect will ever feel enough. So she begins to discipline her inner voice. She replaces harsh judgment with honest reflection. She holds herself accountable, but never in a way that destroys her confidence. Instead, she builds it slowly through consistency. There is a certain calmness that comes with self-respect. She does not feel the need to prove herself in every conversation. She does not argue to be understood by those who are committed to misunderstanding her. She knows that not everyone will see her value, and she accepts this without bitterness, because she understands that being misunderstood is better than being disrespected. This also changes the way she handles relationships. She no longer enters connections from a place of need. She does not seek someone to complete her or to fix her insecurities. Instead, she approaches relationships as a choice, not a dependency. She asks herself whether the connection adds peace to her life or takes it away. And if it takes more than it gives, she has the strength to step back, not out of anger, but out of clarity. Self-respect teaches her patience. She no longer rushes into situations just to avoid being alone. She is comfortable with her own company. She understands that loneliness is not something to fear, but something to learn from. In that space, she reconnects with herself. She listens to her thoughts, understands her emotions, and strengthens her identity. This makes her less likely to settle for less because she is no longer afraid of standing alone. There are moments when her self-respect will be tested. Someone may try to cross her boundaries. Someone may offer her less than she deserves. Someone may try to make her question her worth. In those moments, she does not react emotionally. She becomes still. She remembers who she is. And then she makes a decision that aligns with her values, not her fears. This ability to stay grounded is what separates maturity from impulsiveness. She also understands that self-respect is not arrogance. It is not about believing she is better than others. It is about recognizing that she is not less than anyone. It is a balanced awareness of her own value. This balance allows her to treat others with kindness, without allowing them to take advantage of her. She gives respect, but she does not tolerate disrespect. Over time, this habit transforms her entire presence. People begin to notice that she carries herself differently. She is not loud, but she is not invisible. There is a quiet confidence in the way she walks, speaks, and makes decisions. She does not seek validation, yet she naturally earns respect. Not because she demands it, but because she lives in a way that reflects it. Self-respect becomes her foundation. Every decision she makes is built upon it. Every boundary she sets is protected by it. Every relationship she allows into her life is filtered through it. And because of this, her life becomes more peaceful, more intentional, and more aligned with who she truly is. She no longer tries to fit into spaces that require her to shrink. She no longer holds on to people who only value her when it is convenient. She no longer questions whether she is enough, because deep within herself, she already knows the answer. Emotional control is often misunderstood as the absence of feelings, but in truth, it is the mastery of them. A mature woman does not become cold or detached. She feels deeply, but she does not allow her emotions to dictate her actions. She understands that emotions are temporary, but the consequences of impulsive reactions can be lasting. In moments of tension, when others raise their voices or act out of frustration, she does not immediately mirror that energy. Instead, she creates space between what she feels and how she responds. That space is where her strength lives. It allows her to observe rather than react, to understand rather than escalate. While others may be controlled by the intensity of the moment, she remains grounded. This does not mean she never feels anger, sadness, or disappointment. She experiences all of it, but she processes it differently. When anger arises, she does not rush to express it in a way that harms others or herself. She pauses. She asks herself what is truly causing this feeling. Often, she realizes that the surface emotion is only a reaction to something deeper, perhaps unmet expectations, past wounds, or simple exhaustion. This awareness transforms her reaction into reflection. A woman with emotional control understands the power of timing. She knows that not every emotion needs to be expressed immediately. There are moments when silence is wiser than speaking, when stepping away is stronger than staying engaged. She gives herself time to calm her mind before making decisions or having difficult conversations, because she knows that clarity comes not in chaos, but in stillness. She also becomes aware of triggers, those situations or words that tend to provoke strong reactions within her. Instead of ignoring them, she studies them. She asks herself why certain things affect her more than others. This self-awareness allows her to respond with intention rather than habit. Over time, what once triggered her begins to lose its power, because she has taken the time to understand it. In relationships, this habit becomes even more important. She does not expect others to always behave perfectly, but she also does not tolerate behavior that disturbs her peace. When conflicts arise, she does not attack or blame calmly, clearly, and directly. She focuses on the issue, not the person. This creates an environment where problems can be resolved without unnecessary damage. Emotional control also protects her from regret. Many people say things in anger that they later wish they could take back. A mature woman avoids this, not because she is perfect, but because she is disciplined. She understands that once words are spoken, they cannot be undone. So she chooses them carefully. Even in difficult moments, she maintains a level of awareness that prevents her from crossing lines she would later regret. There is also strength in her ability to walk away when needed. If a situation becomes too heated, too disrespectful, or too chaotic, she does not stay to prove a point. She steps back. not out of weakness, but out of control. She knows that protecting her peace is more important than winning an argument. This ability to disengage is one of her greatest strengths. She does not suppress her emotions either. Suppression leads to pressure, and pressure eventually leads to explosion. Instead, she finds healthy ways to release what she feels. She may reflect in silence, write her thoughts, or simply sit with her emotions until they pass. By allowing herself to feel without losing control, she creates balance within herself. Over time, this habit changes how others perceive her. People begin to notice that she is not easily shaken. She does not react dramatically to every situation. Her presence feels stable, reliable, and calm. In a world where many are controlled by their emotions, this level of composure becomes rare and deeply attractive. She also becomes someone others can trust. Because she is not ruled by impulsive reactions, people feel safe around her. They know she will not explode without reason, gossip out of emotion, or create unnecessary conflict. This trust strengthens her relationships and gives her a quiet influence over those around her. Emotional control also strengthens her inner world. She no longer feels overwhelmed by every challenge. She faces difficulties with a steady mind. When life becomes uncertain, she does not panic. She adapts. She understands that emotions will rise and fall, but her stability comes from within, not from external circumstances. There are still moments when she struggles. Moments when emotions feel intense and difficult to manage. But even in those moments, she does not lose herself completely. She may feel the storm, but she does not become the storm. And this difference changes everything. Silence is often mistaken for emptiness, but in reality, it is full of awareness. A mature woman understands that not every moment needs to be filled with words. She does not speak simply to be heard. She speaks when she has something meaningful to say. This habit creates a quiet strength within her, a presence that feels calm, grounded, and intentional. In a world where many rush to express opinions, defend themselves, or seek attention, she chooses a different path. She listens. Not just to reply, but to understand. When others speak, she gives them her full attention. She observes their tone, their body language, and even what they choose not to say. This depth of listening allows her to see beyond the surface, to understand people in a way that most cannot. Because she listens more than she speaks, her words carry weight. She does not repeat unnecessary information, gossip, or speak impulsively. When she finally chooses to speak, people naturally pay attention. Her words are measured, thoughtful, and often bring clarity to situations that feel confusing. This is the power of silence. It transforms speech into something valuable rather than something constant. She also understands that many conflicts are fueled by unnecessary words. Arguments often escalate, not because of the issue itself, but because both sides feel the need to defend, explain, and prove themselves at the same time. A mature woman steps away from this pattern. She does not interrupt to win. She does not raise her voice to dominate. Instead, she allows space. And in that space, emotions settle and understanding becomes possible. There are moments when she chooses silence, not because she has nothing to say, but because she recognizes that speaking would not improve the situation. She understands that some people are not ready to listen, and some conversations are not meant to be resolved immediately. In those moments, silence becomes her form of wisdom. She preserves her energy rather than wasting it on arguments that lead nowhere. This does not mean she is passive or unable to express herself. When something truly matters, she speaks clearly and directly. But even then, her words are controlled, not emotional reactions. She does not use silence to avoid confrontation. She uses it to choose the right moment for it. This balance between silence and expression is what makes her communication powerful. Silence also strengthens her relationship with herself. In quiet moments, away from noise and distraction, she reflects. She becomes aware of her thoughts, her patterns, and her emotions. This self-awareness allows her to grow continuously. While others seek distraction to avoid themselves, she becomes comfortable in her own presence. This comfort creates a deep sense of inner peace. She does not feel uncomfortable with pauses in conversation. Where others may rush to fill the silence out of insecurity, she remains at ease. This calmness signals confidence. It shows that she does not rely on constant validation or attention. She is present, but not needy. Engaged, but not overwhelming. This balance makes her presence feel refreshing rather than exhausting. In social situations, this habit sets her apart. She observes before she engages. She understands the energy of the room, the dynamics between people, and the intentions behind conversations. This awareness allows her to navigate situations with intelligence and grace. She does not overshare, and she does not reveal everything about herself to everyone. She knows that mystery, when natural and not forced, creates intrigue. Silence also protects her. By not speaking unnecessarily, she avoids revealing information that could be misunderstood or misused. She understands that not everyone needs to know her thoughts, her plans, or her vulnerabilities. This does not make her closed off. It makes her selective. She shares herself with those who have earned her trust. There is also discipline in silence. It requires control to hold back words, especially in moments of emotion. When she feels the urge to react, to defend herself, or to prove a point, she pauses. She allows the moment to pass before deciding whether speaking is necessary. Often, she realizes that silence serves her better. This discipline prevents unnecessary conflict and preserves her dignity. Over time, this habit shapes how others perceive her. People begin to see her as someone who is composed, thoughtful, and wise. They trust her words because she does not use them carelessly. They feel respected in her presence because she listens without interrupting. And they become more aware of their own words because her silence creates space for reflection. Silence becomes more than just the absence of sound. It becomes a tool, it's a form of control, and a source of strength. It allows her to move through life with awareness rather than impulse, with intention rather than noise. And in that quiet, she develops a presence that does not need to demand attention because it naturally draws it. Independence is often misunderstood as distance or detachment. But for a mature woman, it is something much deeper. It is not about pushing people away or refusing support. It is about knowing that her sense of stability does not depend on anyone else. She stands on her own foundation, and because of that, every connection she forms becomes a choice, not a necessity. She understands that relying completely on others for emotional security creates imbalance. When your peace depends on someone else's behavior, your life becomes unpredictable. A mature woman recognizes this early. She begins to build a relationship with herself first. She learns what brings her peace, what disturbs her, and what she truly needs to feel whole. This self-awareness becomes the base of her independence. Emotionally, she does not seek constant reassurance. She does not need someone to always validate her feelings or remind her of her worth. When challenges arise, she does not immediately look outside for answers. She sits with herself. She reflects. She processes her emotions with patience. This ability to handle her inner world makes her strong because she is not easily shaken by external changes. This also changes how she approaches loneliness. Many people fear being alone because they have never learned how to be with themselves. A mature woman sees solitude differently. She uses it as a space to grow, to recharge, and to reconnect with her thoughts. She does not rush into relationships just to fill a void. She would rather be alone than be in a situation that drains her energy or compromises her values. Her independence is also reflected in her decisions. She does not allow others to control the direction of her life. She listens to advice, but she does not blindly follow it. She takes responsibility for her choices, knowing that every decision shapes her future. This sense of ownership gives her confidence, because she knows she is capable of guiding her own path. Financial independence, where possible, also becomes part of her mindset. Not because she seeks control, but because she values freedom. She understands that being able to support herself removes many limitations and allows her to make choices based on what is right, not what is necessary for survival. This creates a sense of security that comes from within, not from reliance on others. In relationships, this independence becomes especially powerful. She does not enter a connection looking for someone to complete her. She is already whole. What she seeks is partnership, not dependency. She values connection, but she does not lose herself in it. She maintains her identity, her interests, and her boundaries. This balance allows her to love deeply without becoming consumed. Because she is independent, she does not tolerate controlling behavior. If someone tries to limit her freedom, manipulate her choices, or make her feel incapable, she recognizes it immediately. She does not stay in situations where her independence is threatened. Not out of pride, but out of self-respect. She knows that true connection should enhance her life, not restrict it. Her independence also gives her resilience. When things do not go as planned, she does not collapse. She adapts. She finds solutions. She understands that life will not always be stable, but her strength lies in her ability to handle uncertainty. This resilience makes her calm in situations where others may panic. She also becomes careful about who she allows into her life. Because she is not driven by need, she can be selective. She chooses people who align with her values, who respect her independence, and who bring positivity into her life. She does not hold on to relationships out of fear of being alone. She holds on to them because they are meaningful. Independence does not make her distant. It makes her balanced. She knows how to give without losing herself. She knows how to receive without becoming dependent. This balance creates healthy relationships, where both individuals are strong on their own, yet supportive of each other. There is also a quiet confidence that comes with independence. She walks into situations knowing that she can handle whatever comes her way. She does not need to prove this to anyone. It shows naturally in the way she carries herself, in the way she speaks, and in the way she makes decisions. People can sense that she is grounded, that she is not easily influenced, and that she values her own direction. She also continues to invest in herself. Her independence is not static. It grows over time. She learns new skills, expands her knowledge, and improves her abilities. This constant growth ensures that she becomes even more capable as life progresses. She does not wait for opportunities. She prepares herself to create them. Through independence, she builds a life that is stable, intentional, and aligned with who she truly is. She does not rely on external circumstances to feel secure. Instead, she becomes her own source of strength. And because of that, everything she builds, her relationships, her goals, her future, stands on a solid foundation that cannot be easily shaken. Growth is a quiet commitment a mature woman makes to herself, one that does not depend on motivation or external pressure. It is not something she pursues only when life feels easy or when she is inspired. It becomes a way of living. She understands that staying the same is not an option, because life is constantly changing, and without growth, she would slowly lose alignment with who she is meant to become. She does not fear change in herself. Instead, she welcomes it. She knows that growth often requires letting go of old habits, outdated beliefs, and even parts of her identity that no longer serve her. This process is not always comfortable. It can feel uncertain, even painful at times. But she accepts that discomfort is a natural part of becoming better. Rather than avoiding it, she leans into it with awareness. A mature woman reflects on her experiences regularly. She does not move through life blindly repeating the same patterns. When something goes wrong, she does not immediately blame others or circumstances. She looks inward. She asks herself what she can learn, what she can improve, and how she can respond differently in the future. This habit of reflection turns every experience, even negative ones, into an opportunity for growth. She also understands that growth requires honesty, not the kind of honesty that is harsh or self-destructive, but one that is clear and constructive. She does not lie to herself to protect her ego. If she makes a mistake, she acknowledges it. If she has a weakness, this level of self-awareness allows her to evolve continuously, rather than staying stuck in denial. Her growth is not driven by comparison. She does not measure her progress against others or feel threatened by someone else's success. Instead, she focuses on her own path. She compares herself to who she was yesterday, last month, or last year. This internal focus keeps her grounded and prevents unnecessary insecurity. She understands that everyone's journey is different, and trying to follow someone else's timeline only leads to frustration. She invests in her mind. She seeks knowledge, not for the sake of appearing intelligent, but to expand her understanding of the world and herself. She reads, observes, listens, and remains open to learning from different perspectives. This curiosity keeps her evolving and prevents her from becoming rigid in her thinking. She knows that growth requires flexibility, the willingness to adapt and reconsider. Her physical and emotional well-being also become part of her growth. She understands that taking care of her body and mind is not a luxury, but a responsibility. She pays attention to her habits, her routines, and how they affect her energy. She does not neglect herself in the pursuit of other things. Instead, she creates balance, knowing that true growth includes every aspect of her life. There are moments when progress feels slow, times when she may feel like she is not moving forward as quickly as she would like. But she does not give up in those moments. She remains patient. She trusts the process. She understands that meaningful growth is not immediate. It is built over time through consistent effort. This patience allows her to stay committed even when results are not visible. She also becomes selective about her environment. She recognizes that growth is influenced by the people she surrounds herself with and the situations she allows into her life. She distances herself from negativity, from those who discourage progress or resist change. Instead, she seeks environments that challenge her, that inspire her to think differently, and that support her evolution. Growth also teaches her humility. The more she learns, the more she realizes how much there is still to understand. This keeps her open-minded and prevents arrogance. She does not assume she knows everything. She listens, observes, and remains willing to improve. This humility makes her approachable and allows her to connect with others on a deeper level. She does not rush her transformation. She does not try to become everything at once. Instead, she focuses on small, consistent improvements. Each day, she takes a step forward, no matter how small it may seem. Over time, these small steps create significant change. She trusts that consistency is more powerful than intensity. Through growth, she builds confidence. Not the kind that comes from external praise, but one that is rooted in progress. She knows how far she has come, how much she has overcome, and how capable she has become. This confidence is quiet but strong. It does not need to be displayed. It is felt in her presence. Her journey of growth never truly ends. She does not reach a point where she feels complete or finished. Instead, she continues to evolve, to refine herself, and to move closer to her highest potential. This ongoing process becomes part of who she is, shaping her into someone who is not only attractive in appearance, but deeply compelling in character and presence. Boundaries are often misunderstood as walls that keep people out, but for a mature woman, they are not barriers, they are filters. They do not exist to isolate her from others, but to protect what matters most: her time, her energy, and her sense of self. She understands that without boundaries, even the strongest person can become overwhelmed, drained, and disconnected from their own needs. She does not wait until she is exhausted to recognize the importance of limits. Instead, she becomes aware early on that every interaction, every commitment, and every relationship requires a form of exchange. If she continues to give without awareness, without limits, she will eventually lose balance. So she begins to ask herself a simple question: is this costing me more than it is giving me? And if the answer is yes, she knows something must change. A mature woman is not afraid to say no. She does not see it as rejection or selfishness. She sees it as clarity. When something does not align with her values, her priorities, or her well-being, she declines it without unnecessary explanation. She does not feel the need to justify every decision because she understands that her life is her responsibility. This ability to say no protects her from overcommitment and from situations that drain her energy. She also pays attention to how people treat her. Boundaries are not only about what she says, but also about what she allows. If someone consistently disrespects her time, ignores her feelings, or crosses lines she has set, she does not ignore it. She addresses it calmly and directly. And if the behavior continues, she creates distance, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. She understands that boundaries are meaningless if they are not enforced. There is a quiet strength in the way she sets limits. She does not raise her voice or create conflict unnecessarily. She communicates with calmness and confidence. Her tone remains steady, her words clear. This approach prevents escalation and shows that her boundaries are not emotional reactions, but conscious decisions. People begin to recognize that she is not someone who can be easily pushed or manipulated. She also understands that not everyone will accept her boundaries. Some may resist them, question them, or even try to make her feel guilty for having them. But she does not let this shake her. She knows that those who truly respect her will also respect her limits. And those who do not are simply revealing that they benefited from her lack of boundaries in the past. This realization helps her remain firm without becoming defensive. Boundaries also extend to her time. She becomes intentional about how she spends her days. She does not fill her schedule with obligations that leave her feeling drained. She prioritizes what truly matters: her growth, her peace, and her responsibilities. She understands that time is limited, and once it is gone, it cannot be recovered. This awareness makes her more selective, more focused, and more aligned with her goals. Emotionally, she learns not to carry what is not hers. She does not absorb every problem, every complaint, or every negative energy from others. She listens, she supports, but she does not take on burdens that are not her responsibility. This emotional boundary protects her inner peace and allows her to remain balanced, even when those around her may not be. She also becomes mindful of how much of herself she shares. Not everyone deserves access to her thoughts, her struggles, or her personal life. She does not overshare in an attempt to connect. Instead, she allows trust to build over time. She understands that vulnerability is powerful, but only when it is given to the right people. This selectiveness protects her from unnecessary hurt and misunderstanding. There are moments when setting boundaries feels uncomfortable. She may worry about disappointing others or creating distance in relationships. But she reminds herself that temporary discomfort is better than long-term resentment. When boundaries are not set, frustration builds silently, eventually damaging both her well-being and her relationships. By setting limits early, she prevents deeper issues later. Over time, boundaries reshape her entire life. Her relationships become healthier because they are built on mutual respect rather than obligation. Her mind becomes clearer because she is no longer overwhelmed by unnecessary stress. Her energy becomes more focused because she is not constantly giving it away without awareness. People begin to treat her differently, not because she demands respect, but because she naturally commands it through her actions. They understand that she values herself, and this changes how they interact with her. She no longer needs to prove her worth or fight for her place in someone's life. Her boundaries make that clear without words. Through this habit, she creates a life that feels balanced and intentional. She is able to give fully where it matters without feeling depleted. She is able to connect deeply without losing herself. And most importantly, she is able to protect her peace, not by avoiding the world, but by moving through it with awareness and control. In the end, true attraction is not something that can be imitated or forced. It is not created through appearance, attention, or the need to be seen. It is built quietly through discipline, awareness, and the choices a woman makes when no one is watching. A mature woman does not become attractive by trying to impress the world. She becomes attractive by mastering herself. Through self-respect, she defines her worth. Through emotional control, she protects her peace. Through silence, she gains clarity. Through independence, she stands strong on her own. Through growth, she continues to evolve. And through boundaries, she preserves everything she has built. These habits shape more than just how others see her. They shape how she experiences life. She no longer seeks validation because she understands her value. She no longer fears being alone because she is grounded within herself. She no longer chases what is uncertain because she is clear about what she deserves. There is a quiet power in this way of living. It does not demand attention, yet it naturally draws it. It does not seek approval, yet it earns respect. It does not rely on others, yet it creates deeper, more meaningful connections. This is what makes her truly attractive. Not what she shows the world, but what she has built within herself.